Fantastic. Before we get started, just brief introductions. And to make this go a little smoother, I will call you out and just say who you are and what group you're with and what's the latest book that you've read. We're going to start out that way. All right. So I'm going to start with myself. I'm Christopher Brannon. I'm the IT coordinator for the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network. And I am the Koha US president this year. And the latest book I read is the Obesity Code. This is odd because I don't read books. I don't sit and read a book. And I read this like in a week. And I highly recommend it, whether you're dealing with weight loss or not. If you deal with diabetes, it's a good book. If you read the book, it's a good read, and you will be mad by the time you finish reading it, but it's a good book. And with that said, I'm going to go to Georgette.
Georgette Rogers. I'm from Liberty Lake Municipal Library. I am also part of the Cooperative Information Network with Christopher. I'm the treasurer for the group. And the last book I read, this ages me, Ralph Macchio's Waxing On, The Karate Kid. I grew up with that. So my favorite, well, he's one of my favorites. And absolutely loved the biography.
Awesome. Heather.
Hi, good morning. I'm Heather Hernandez, Technical Services Librarian at San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park. And I recently finished the Jennifer Morgue, the second book in the Laundry Files series, and I highly recommend it if you're a fan of science fiction and or magic and or creative civil servants saving the world from otherworldly threats, and or a fan of James Bond.
Cool. Thank you, Heather. Fred.
I have to unmute first, don't I? Fred King, medical librarian at Star Washington Hospital in DC. I am the Koha sysadmin. I'm the third of the reference staff, part of the backup editor. I do a little bit of everything. And last book, I read mostly by Audible. My eyes aren't what they used to be. And right now I'm listening to Quackery. I like medical history, and this is about things that didn't really work well. Tincture made of boiling centipedes.
All right, thank you. Nate.
Nate Cruel with Bywater. I'm reading The Ink Black Heart by Robert Galbraith, also J.K. Rowling pseudonym. You know, it's a slog. The other ones were really awesome, but this one's taken me a long time.
Jesse.
Hi, my name is Jessie Zarrow. I work at Bywater Solutions, and I just finished listening to Trailed by Catherine Miles, which was actually a suggestion from Kelly on an audiobook. It's about the Shenandoah murders, two women hikers. It was really good.
Awesome. Bob.
Bob Benhoff, Aspen Cat, is part of the Colorado Library Consortium, and it has been so long since I completed a book that I do not recall a title. I am slowly reading a book by Robin Hobb. It is about 5 pages every week. So I'll be done, in a few years at that rate.
All right, Kelly.
Hi, my name is Kelly McElligott. I work with Bywater Solutions. I just finished Remarkably Bright Creatures, which is a fiction book based on an octopus in an aquarium and the cleaner of that aquarium and just a really good feel-good relationship, small community story. So I definitely would recommend this to anyone who likes octopuses or small town fiction books. And they are very smart creatures. I've learned that in my book.
Is the plural octopuses?
I think it's octopus. Is it octopuses? Okay.
I thought it was
It's octopi.
I was thinking
no,
octopi. I don't know.
I believe Heather because she's nautical over there.
I do too.
You can also make a case for, I think it takes the third declension, so it's octopodes.
All right, Elise.
Hello, I'm Elise Ayala with Bywater Solutions. The last book I read was, I listened to Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. Really good memoir, child star, drug addiction, eating disorder, all kinds of crazy stuff going on, but she's a really great, and listening to the audiobook is really good. So I finally got that hold. I'm glad I did it. So highly recommend.
Thank you. Greg.
I just finished The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson, the 7th book in his Mistborn. He has a whole like universe tying a bunch of series together. It's interesting. That's about it.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Barbara.
Well, I'm a romance reader. So I just read a book called, it's a historical romance called Artfully Yours. And it's about art forgers and love and happily ever afters in turn of the century, I think, England.
All right. Jason.
So we lost the introduction part, right? We're supposed to do that.
Introduce yourself. Yep.
I'm Jason Rubb. I'm the Seek and Find coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System. And I'm like Bob. I don't read much, but I did just finish the reference manual for the DS6878 Zebra scanner that we are testing out for inventory, which is working really great, actually. So, yeah.
Riveting.
Riveting, indeed.
John.
My name is John Sterbenz. I'm the executive director of the Detroit Area Library Network and also Koha US's financial manager. And I do so much professional reading that I haven't read anything for leisure in a very long time. You have library to school to blame for that. After having to read very little as a math major, as an undergrad, going to 300 pages a week, destroyed reading for me in a way that I have not recovered from 20 plus years after getting my master's.
All right, thank you, John. Michael does not have his voice. So Michael, if you want to throw your information in there. Oh, there it is. He is Digital Resources Manager with the Central Kansas Library System. He has no audio because he's got strep. He's lost his voice. He's the supported rep in Koha US board. He just finished reading 6 frigates, the epic story of the founding of the US Navy. It was indeed very epic and very enjoyable. All right, thank you, Michael. How about Emily?
Hi, I'm Emily Lamancusa. I work for Montgomery County Public Libraries. I'm the Koha point person in-house. And I just finished reading There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole, digging into a recently discovered interest in fantasy with a splash of eldritch horror. So if you like that kind of thing, would definitely recommend it.
All right. Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Marlette with the Corona Public Library and the Koha US Secretary. I've been revisiting the classics, and right now I'm in the middle of Jane Austen's Persuasion.
Awesome, thank you. Daniel.
Daniel Gaghan, Pueblo City County Library District. I'm the ILS administrator, and I am a voracious reader. The most recent one I read was Gravediggers, Mountain of Bones by Christopher Cordovan. Probably butchering his name, but he wrote this one book called Monstrologist, which I really liked, but Gravediggers, not so much. A really good fantasy one that I just read was called The Red Knight by Miles Cameron, and he actually uses real medieval combat martial arts in the fantasy novel. So if you want a real take on how they fought back then, The Red Knight by Miles Cameron.
All right. Last but not least, George.
You know, you would pick me last because I'm literally reading like 4 books right now.
Of course you are.
I've got I've been for Christmas I got the complete Raymond Chandler short stories, so I've been jumping around through different Raymond Chandler short stories. But my daughter started reading Fahrenheit 451 for school, so I've been reading that. And as an audiobook, I've been listening to Sword of Shannara because somebody said, you know, for all the fantasy books I read, I should really read Sword of Shannara because it's like 50 years old and I've never read it before. And then I've also, in the last year, been rereading different translations of Beowulf. So I've got one of those open right now. I've read like 6 different translations of Beowulf in the last year. So way to go. You picked the crazy person for the end.
A literary snob, if I can say that nicely. Make me feel bad about reading.
And Jennifer, Persuasion is my favorite Jane Austen. It's awesome. It's the best Jane Austen. There's so much going on in Persuasion. It's just an incredibly good book.
Yeah, it's my favorite as well.
I like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Better adaptation. All right.
Richardson Davies said that there are some books that you read and reread until they become part of you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for the introductions. I think it's important to get to know each other a little bit more, and it's nice to see the variety out there and where everybody's at. Okay, we're going to get underway here with starting off with our announcements. Just a reminder, we are seeking volunteers for let's see here, what is for social media? What is social media? Why do we have social media on there? I'm not sure why social media is on the agenda. I know that we are seeking volunteers for a couple SIGs. We are seeking volunteers for a fundraising chair, and I'll talk about some that for just a moment. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? For some reason, I've opened the wrong agenda. I guess it would help if I opened the right one. Good grief.
Okay, I was panicking. I was
like,
panicking
what
for
the
a
heck?
moment there. I don't see social media. Okay.
Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, folks. Okay. But we are seeking chairs for fundraising and for the education committee. If you are interested in either, you don't have to be somebody that is well versed in those areas, just somebody that will facilitate the meeting and generate discussion. So if you're interested at all, please let us know. We might circulation took a break and we might have somebody to fill that leadership spot. It might be a single person, it might be co-chaired, but we will have news hopefully soon on the status of the circulation SIG. But I want to thank everybody that is leading a SIG right now. I appreciate you willing to take time to fill those roles and take time out of your busy schedule to help lead that group in those discussions. Let's talk real quick about site location for the 2023 conference. The vote was in, and we have chosen Portsmouth, New Hampshire for our location this year, September 20th through the 23rd. And as we get more information, we will populate the website. I did update the website with that current information. So if you're trying to get things on your schedule, you have the basic info there. And as we gather info and figure out our conference theme and all the great details, we will update the website as we go. In fact, our conference committee will be meeting after this meeting today. So stay tuned. We'll have more information as soon as possible. And then as soon as we get some of the basics out of the way, we will start focusing on presentation proposals for the conference. We just have to figure out what the theme is for this year and get some of those basics underway. And we'll get the host to help us get all the lodging and travel information figured out ASAP, so we can get that on the site as well. But I'm looking forward to it. New location, so it's gonna be fun, and it's right there by the water. It's gonna be awesome. Any questions about the conference before we move on? All right. Talked about vacancies. I mentioned fundraising and education, in circulation, but we also have a demonstration instance that needs some management as well. That's our Koha demonstration instance. We have a group that focuses on what that Koha instance looks like, what we're trying to showcase in that instance, and just need somebody to help guide that group and keep the group focused and on track. Nothing huge, and again, once a month, maybe once every 2 months. If somebody wants to lead that, we would love it. So that is vacant and open for volunteers. If you want to volunteer for any of these things, reach out to me. You can email president@koha-us.org, or you can reach out at our general email, info@koha-us.org, and we'll be happy to talk with you. I doubt I would turn anybody down if you're willing to do it. So please think about it. I wanted to bring up a couple things. I did notice that there have been some issues lately with sandboxes. I'm jumping down past one thing because I want to take a little time on the other, but I've noticed that there were some issues surrounding sandboxes. Sandboxes have been up and down, and I had some issues with some sandboxes a little while back testing a patch, but I was just notified that Bywater's sandboxes are back up and running. I haven't had a chance to check those out, but if you get a chance to play with the sandboxes or do any bug testing, sandboxes are great tools. So please check them out and keep the people that run those sandboxes apprised of any issues. They're pretty good about getting on those and getting those back up. I do have a bug I wanted to throw out there, but I'm going to come back to this because this is more general discussion. I want to jump over to committee updates real quick. We're going to keep these brief. And I've already gone through a couple of these things, but the conference, as we said, is in Portsmouth, and we're looking forward to that. There's nothing more to say about that because we are just getting underway with the details behind that. And again, that meeting is after this general meeting. Bob, development, where are we at?
A couple things to announce. We've got our bug, I'll drop it in the chat, our bug that we've been working on for some time. We contracted with Catalyst to do some of the cleanup, and they have done that. We're just really waiting on the QA process at this point. So we're
signed
close.
up again.
Yeah, Christopher discovered something a little wrong with it, and they quickly were able to get that adjusted, and Christopher signed off. So we're just waiting for QA and then it to be assigned to a release at this point. So so that's good news. The other bit of news is that we should be voting on our next development very soon. I just have to put all that together. Since Bywater chose to hire away one of my staff members, I've had a little less time lately. So so I haven't done that, but I'm going to try to get that together this week, so the development committee can look at it, and then should be able to proceed with a vote soon. There's going to be 3 options, 2 different bugs that have been proposed, and then do we want to save our money for something down the road? There was some talk about doing a different process where we go and we look at stuff that's on the Bywater devs page, and we're just not going to switch midstream this time. We're going to go ahead and vote on the stuff that we've already collected, and then going forward we'll have an amended process that'll be up on the website. Utilizing the great work that Bywater has done in collecting those ideas for improvements, but we just didn't want to switch things up when we already were asking for submissions in one way. So that's all the news from development.
All right. And as I mentioned, education, the chair is vacant right now. George has been helping us for a long time on that. And so we're looking to fill that chair and basically, lead where we need somebody to help lead us in the direction with things that we develop on our website, how we want to help the Koha community with documentation and other ideas. So if you are interested, please let us know. Let's go to finance real quick. Georgette, you are muted.
Yep, just realized that. Thanks. Just real quick, we have officially 74 members. We've been getting more kind of since the announcement of the conference, and I think John and I are kind of hoping 80 before the end of the year. That will kind of be a record, I think, for us, because we had 80 last year, but it was closer to the end of the year. Our bank balance looks really good. We have $12,637.32. So everything is looking really good. Amazon Smile has ceased, so John and I are looking for some replacement income streams for that. So I have attached the report to the agenda. I've given it to Jennifer to attach. So if you'd like to see a more detailed.
All right. Thank you very much. Last thing on here is fundraising. That chair is also vacant. One of the ideas that I had discussed briefly with the board, and something that we're toying with, it would, since Amazon Smile is down, another route we're talking about is our threadless account. We don't make a ton of money off of that, but I was looking at that and thinking, you know what, we have a lot of things on threadless that have to do with Koha US. But I mean, unless you're really passionate about Koha US and are trying to tell everybody about Koha US or Koha in general, it doesn't have a ton of appeal to what's there. But one of the things that we're discussing is maybe fundraising, maybe something tied in with education, where we are maybe putting some things in the Threadless account that kind of tout the positives of Koha, the different things that you can do with Koha, you know, just kind of eye openers about Koha and, you know, learning, you know, more of a t-shirt education, or, you know, product education about the things that you can do in Koha as a patron, something that might appeal to the people that see the staff wearing these things. So, you know, we're tossing that around and thinking about different ways that we could improve the Threadless account and make it more appealing to more people. So that was a discussion about that. So if you're interested in any of that, please let us know. All right, we're going to move on. Oh, sorry, Jesse.
Okay, this brings, we were going to wait till free time to bring this up, but so the Koha Community Challenge, right? We've done it a couple years now, and we've always had an option for doing the community challenge with a t-shirt or just doing a community challenge. And Elise and I have looked at the registrations over the last couple of years, and it's increasingly going towards people for just the $10 option, which is basically just registering to participate and do it without the shirt and medal. So we were thinking about this year just doing the full $10 for everybody, no t-shirts, but then putting something on Threadless so people can go there and get their own shirt, and they can pick their own shirt, and everything will go to y'all on Koha US's site. So when you brought that up, I just pinged Elise and I'm like, well, let's jump in here and ask if that would work. So we can wait till free time to talk more, but that's kind of what our thought process was this year. It's a cheaper option for everybody at the $10. People can still participate. And then if they want to purchase their own t-shirt or whatever, long sleeve, whatever they want, they can do that on Threadless.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go into open discussion. I wanted to throw out something real quick to everybody, and then we can take discussions in any direction. The rest of the time is for you guys. So thank you for putting up with all of our formalities. And so I wanted to bring up real quick these bugs, a couple bugs here that are in the agenda. I'll put the links in chat, but basically my gist of what's going on with these bugs is there's discussion about Koha taking doing a version of self-checkout via the OPAC and camera on a device. Basically, a patron could potentially walk up to a shelf, grab a book, and point their, you know, they log into Koha on the OPAC on their phone or whatever, and point the camera at the barcode and check it out right there, which is pretty awesome. I think, you know, anything that we can do to streamline the patron experience is a plus, you know, as long as all of the potential pitfalls are thought well through. Like, for example, you know, there was discussion about, I think somewhere in there was discussion about check-in as well. That one has me concerned because, you know, technically somebody could check something out, and if they get all their renewals done, they could check it back in and then check it back out again, and we never see the item until somebody places a hold on it. So there's some things that have to be thought out about that, but I do encourage everybody to chime in on these bugs. It's kind of an interesting direction to go, and new, and haven't seen this in an ILS typically, but I have seen some third-party apps that you can add on to your ILS that allow you to do the same thing. But this is, I mean, you know, the moment that I heard that you could scan barcodes with your basic camera, you know, I've seen this happen with shopping apps. I thought, you know, why doesn't Koha incorporate something like this? This would be fairly easy with today's technology, and I've seen it happen. You know, I've seen it done on web apps, so it's not impossible. So I'm looking forward to this. Any discussion about that? Any interest in that? Anybody have to say anything to say about that?
My first question would be, how would it change or affect any security devices on it, on the item that's being checked out?
That would be the only concern, and possibly maybe if it's going through the OPAC and you're scanning these items, checking them out, you know, because it's going through that specific process, it maybe after checkout, it throws up a screen or something that says, please stop by a security station and deactivate these items. You know, maybe it's a process that, and I don't know anything about security and deactivation and reactivation, but maybe there's some process where, you know, it says to deactivate these. It depends. I mean, if it's checked out in the system, you know, if your system is tied into your security, you know, it depends on the security itself. Maybe it's, you know, when it's checked out, it's deactivating automatically. I don't know. Maybe it tells you to go and deactivate something. I don't know. And, you know, maybe that deactivation process, if you're deactivating something, it has to check with the ILS to see if that's okay. I don't know. I don't know how those things work, you know, so this is a good thing for people that have those kinds of things in place with security to chime in, because they know their workflows and they know how that system works and what's possible and what isn't.
It probably depends a lot on how old your security system is. If it's an RFID system, then as soon as the item's checked out, then the security gauge should be able to tell that it's checked out. But if you've got a really old system using like tattle tape, where you have to physically demagnetize a piece of tape in an item, then yes, you're going to have a security problem. It's going to be a library by library variation.
Yeah, I think if you've got security implemented, you're good people to chime in on this and have discussion with it. You know, maybe the first step is, you know, the mechanism in place to just check out, and the libraries that don't implement any kind of security, you know, are making sure that that works and they're able to take advantage of that. And then the next step is to address the security portions of it. So, good question, Daniel. Any other comments on that? All right. Anybody have anything that they're wanting to discuss? What's going on in your world that is piquing your interest with Koha right now? The floor is open.
Well, I've got a couple of things. Oh, and by the way, the reindex didn't work. It just puked out a bunch of code. So I have to start over.
Bummer.
A couple of weeks ago, I was there something in Bugzilla saying I may have solved the problem of XSL files outside the server. Do you know if anyone checked that? Verified that what I did was in fact working? No, not. Second of all, I'm trying to set up an RSS feed for the new authors catalog. We've been using one from what's one called Feedwind. They're putting advertising in it, and really we'd like to get a different one. And I'm kind of confused about the reader and the what is it called that actually generates the feed. You know, takes the RSS code and pushes it out. And is Koha capable of doing that, or would I need a third party? I've seen a lot about RSS and Koha, but not really where to start.
Jason, you have some experience with RSS, right?
So yeah, so whenever you do a search in the OPAC thread, you should have a little orange icon up there, and that like any search you do can become an RSS feed. And then you take that link into your feed reader, your aggregator, and it should be able to read the feed.
Do you have to turn anything on for that feed?
There might be a system preference. I'm not sure.
I think there is.
But I mean, it wasn't working for us for a while because there was a bug. So when you click the RSS feeds, it just gave you a 500 error. So if that's what you're seeing, then you may be on a version where that bug is present.
Did that get fixed?
It did.
Okay.
It's fixed in our current version. But yeah, I don't see. There's a system preference called num search RSS results, which tells you how many results are in the feed. But I think that it's just on by default. And Kelly's nodding.
Sorry, but I'm still confused. Okay, I have the code for the feed.
Okay.
Um,
I was trying to see what reader we use because I think it must be. It's just like Feeder or Feedly or something.
Okay.
I think they might have ads too, though. We're just using a free extension, like a Chrome extension, as our feed reader, and then it uses Chrome's notifications to pop up and pop in whenever something new gets added into that feed. That's how we use it to track like new items that are getting added to the catalog.
It's been forever since I've actually even touched RSS. Can't you just read? I mean, you can click on it and just read it with a browser, can't you?
The support kind of went away for that. I mean, you do have to have a third-party app of some sort to actually like ingest the information and make it readable now, as far as I know.
At one point too, I think Outlook, Microsoft Outlook incorporated feeds. I don't know if it still does that, but there have been. I know that there are specific readers that you can go out and use, and both online and downloadable. But some apps did it. I know that browsers used to do it, and I know that Outlook at one point did it, but I'm not sure about anything else.
What I'm looking at, I just looked up system preferences that use the word RSS in them. And there's a system preference also called OPAC base URL that the instructions for that system preference say that must be filled in correctly for RSS to work properly. So the system preferences that come up when you search for RSS are OPAC base URL and num search RSS results. So I think you're going to have to make sure that both of those are configured properly.
Okay, I'll give it a try. I'll probably be asking questions later on.
RSS was a really great tool. It was universally used, and everybody loved it. So naturally, most companies stopped supporting it and went out of their way to actively break the things that they had that were working well with RSS. So Google Reader was a great tool, but it worked too well, so they had to kill it.
I can share my screen and show you what I was talking about, Fred. So it's this one. It's not that one. I'm going to share my whole screen. So we're using this feeder app extension for Chrome. So it's something that we've added to the browser. And then when I do a search in Koha, it's got the little subscribe to the search URL. When you click on that, since I've got that extension installed, it picks it up automatically, and then I can follow that. And since I've got the search sorting by like newest added, it's always gonna send me stuff and notify me when the next item was added to that feed. So that's how we're using it. If you don't have it like integrated like that, you can also do an add feed and then paste the RSS URL into here, and it'll pick up the feed. So you can see like what I don't use it. My cataloger does. She tracks everything using RSS feeds. And then I've got power users that still use it. Like we know that people are using it to put their holds on, because they get it like a second after it gets cataloged. Does that clarify at all for you, Fred?
Sort of. Let me share my screen. Unless someone else has a bug they need to discuss.
Nope, your stuff is perfectly valid.
Okay. Yeah, that's one that just blew up. Never mind. Okay, so I want to add to my Koha screen on the right side. We also have it on catalog. And I think right now it's, this is version 17, so can't remember how I got it in. But then I have this code. And let me rename it. Oh. Have this, and I want to put it over here. So it will appear on the Koha main screen. We'll give it a try, see what happens.
Yeah, I would do that with a report and jQuery because that's my comfort zone. So I don't really know exactly how that integration works.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. jQuery still confuses me, so I figured out a different way to do it, with Crescent Ranch as a hammer.
All right, anybody else?
I've got kind of a badger hole that we can go down for a little bit. Does anybody use the auto check-in feature on their item types?
I use it for one item type.
Is it currently working?
As far as I know, it's not a very widely used item type. We have Kansas State Parks passes that people can come to the library and get a parks pass for free that'll let 4 people into a Kansas State Park. And so the libraries that use them check them out and they return themselves 15 minutes later. And it's not been a wildly popular program. There are only a couple of libraries that are doing it, and it hasn't been very well used. So I would have to go and check one out and test it to see if it's actually working or not.
I asked this because we used that for seeds, and last year it worked. All of our seeds were returned after they hit their due date. Now it doesn't seem to be working, and I'm not entirely sure if it was a recent update or what. But I do have a ticket with Bywater, so we're going down that rabbit hole. But
Well, I'm setting up a test right now. It'll take me about 5 minutes to check and see if it works or not.
Okay. Because originally the whole process is that we were trying to get it so that users could borrow 5 items, or in this case 5 seeds per day, and I had it set that they would discharge or check in after 1 day, but no dice. So and I thought that Koha could do this, but I was wrong, and I did find a bug that I'm hoping that people would actually comment on, and I was actually going to bring it to the development group to see if they were interested in it as well. So I'm going to post it, and I think it's very useful. But
Daniel, do you know if you have created like a CERC rule that would fight against the automatic check-in for that item type?
Nope.
Okay.
Because it worked last year.
Okay. And probably with Bywater, they would be checking to make sure that cron job is turned on.
Yeah, it runs every 15 minutes.
Okay.
Well, I just checked something out that should automatically return about 3 minutes after this meeting ends. So I can send you an email after this test is done to see if it, to let you know what the status of it is here at Necklace.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. It's just, it seemed to be working, then it stopped, and it just really kind of random. But if we could get the development on the, the limit on how many items someone can check out in a day, that would solve the problem. But it's kind of a workaround that I'm working on right now.
I'll send you an email this afternoon.
Saying that that's a pretty cool workflow. I hadn't thought about the use of that, the automatic check-in in that way. It makes sense if you're limiting people and per day and not needing something returned. I could see the use of that. I've never had thought about that aspect of things before. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
hope you can get it worked out.
I hope so too. It was a last minute thing. It was like, we need this to work. And I was like, okay, let's try this. So
we do it for the benefit that it gives us for keeping statistics. It's a quick way of gathering statistics on these items.
Daniel, we're using that for our seed library too. And I think we have it set to return them after 2 hours. And when I look at what's checked out recently, because we're also using the cart to shelf or whatever that's called, I do see some that show recently returned, which would make me think that it's working here.
Okay.
Which brings up a good point, it'd be nice if there was some way in Koha to exclude items from being recently returned if they don't actually need to be recently returned in status. I mean, I guess that's kind of an unusual case, but I can see why there would be a need in the system if you're doing things like this, that you don't need it to show that it was recently returned. Do you suppress, do you show your seeds in the OPAC just out of curiosity, or do you suppress that?
We show them in the OPAC and they're holdable. The workflow is that they would go out for a day, they'd be checked in, and then a staff member would set them to discard so that they would be taken out of the OPAC. And it seemed like it should work, but for some reason it's not. So.
All right. Still have about 9 minutes left in today's meeting. Anybody have anything else they'd like to share, or that they're
I'm gonna be coy. here, I'm gonna put this bug in chat and say, I'm frustrated with this bug and I was tired of getting an email about it every month, but it's stalled out. So I made a workaround, but I'm not gonna talk about the workaround today. I'm gonna talk about the workaround at the web dev SIG next Thursday. So if you wanna learn how I use the list holds API to fix my problem, you should join us at the web dev SIG next week.
Can you give a brief explanation of this? I mean,
so the problem is when a book becomes not renewable, like hit your limit on renews. It used to say on hold if there was a hold on the record, which would prevent the renewal from being overridden. It doesn't say that anymore. So if you try to override the renewal, it pops up a really fast message that says renewal failed, and then it doesn't renew. So what I did was I used the data within the table itself, pulled out the bib number, passed that over to the list holds API, and then I pulled in that on hold link and like pre-pended it to the not renewable message so that there's an indication that it's not going to renew even if you try to force the override. And I was excited that I figured out how to do that, but it'll take a lot more like thinking and organization to actually explain how I did it. So I will talk about that next week if anybody is interested.
Is this new with 2205?
It's been a problem for a while.
Okay. I had an email from a library yesterday or the day before that I spent a part of yesterday afternoon trying to figure out where it appears that the on hold message is not appearing in 2205 on item level requests. Because if I
have a bug for that too.
Yeah, I couldn't find a bug for it in Bugzilla yesterday afternoon, but I was going to send a ticket to Bywater today, probably.
No, this is a different thing.
It's a different issue,
but it's similar.
Different but similar. I understand.
People can renew items if there's an item level hold on the item. And I haven't looked at this in a while. There's some other deal with renewals and item level holds that I ran into, which is that bug I just posted.
Oh, well, and this one is past QA already, so maybe it's not going to be a problem that much longer.
Yeah.
Because that was what, we upgraded to 2205 late because the RSS feed issue was going to be a problem for us because we have several libraries using a third-party app that requires the RSS feed. So we put it off until that was fixed. But that was one of the things. I've had a couple of issues that have come up this week and this was one of them where if it's an item level hold, the override limits are not respected in the staff client.
I'm trying to think of, I can't think of it. I had it while you guys were talking. There was something I had on my mind and, oh, I know what it was. We were talking about holds and I was wondering, has anybody seen an issue with the real-time holds queue? I think I saw something about the real-time holds queue in some items are not showing up on the queue when you have that active. I've turned it off because I was concerned that some things were escaping the queue. Has anybody heard anything about that?
We were seeing it when someone placed a hold on items when the library was closed. And there was I thought it was a SIG that we discussed it in, but it might've been the systems admin, but yeah, that's what I've been seeing.
We had an issue. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Emily.
When we had the real-time holds queue on, which we haven't been able to because it needs some optimizations in order to keep up with our system size. We were seeing that too, that on a day that the libraries were closed if you also had the system preference to skip closed libraries from the holds queue. Then if all of the libraries or all of the libraries that had the item were closed when the hold was placed, there was nowhere for it to be assigned, and there wasn't a backup in place to make sure it got assigned somewhere. Oh, and thank you, Kelly, for the bug number for auto unsuspended holds. We're also not triggering that. I have the bug number for the closed libraries one. I just need to pull it up, which I think has at least a patch submitted. Yeah, I don't have anything else useful to contribute to that, just the bug number and the clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, we had an issue when we turned it on where it stopped our cron job from working to reassign randomly the holds. Then we tried to get that fixed, but currently, and I don't know if it's related or not, some of our branches just aren't getting any items in their holds queue. So not sure if that's related or not, but it did seem to happen around the same time that we were messing with stuff. So it's possible.
So the cron job is currently set to not run if you have the real-time holds queue enabled, unless you force it with a parameter.
Yeah, we had that done.
Too.
Yeah, we had that forced, but I haven't turned it back on yet because we have this other issue with holds not showing. So I was getting ready to do that, but then we were getting reports that some branches just haven't had anything in their queue for a good long time.
Well, it's early on in the real-time holds queue. It hasn't been around for very long, so I imagine there are a few things that need to get worked out of that probably escaped attention in the concept, but I like the direction it's going. I hope that they can work those issues out. It seems like it's doable, so I'm hoping to see improvement in those areas, because I really want to keep that on, but at this point I'm kind of concerned about turning it on, and we need a little bit more education about it, what might affect it and what doesn't at this point, and what still needs to be worked out. So we'll see how things transpire with these bugs and the things that people are reporting. Hopefully, if you're running into issues, you're documenting things or reporting them so the community is aware and can give them attention if needed. So
sorry, Emily, do you have that? I think it was Emily talking about the other holds time bug that you think is patched. Do you have that number? Bug number?
I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Actually, wait, I filed it. I should be able to find it that way. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, there's not a patch yet. Nick commented on like an idea for it.
right. All right, well, we have hit 9:30 my time, and it is time to close up shop here. Thanks everyone for joining us for today's general meeting. We will be meeting again next month on the 12th, it looks like. So thank you for everyone that brought topics to talk about, and please come again and bring those topics. And I enjoy having these conversations and finding out what's going on out there in your world. So I hope everybody has a great day. And again, if you're interested in filling in any of our SIG leadership seats, please reach out to me or the info at koha-us.org. We'd love to have you on the team to lead those groups. And with that said, I'm going to say farewell to everybody, and our Our conference committee is about to meet. So if you're here for that committee, please stick around and we'll start in a few minutes.